Hi, welcome back to another One Chart lesson. Today we're doing Boost the Seat by Spacey Jane. It's a beautiful song, really quite simple in its chord structure, but it uses some really nice chords. We are going to use a capo on the 4th fret to make our chords easier to play and to let us play the little arpeggio that you hear in that beginning section. And I'm also going to explain that when you listen to the original track, that arpeggio is played with a very short delay setting on that guitar. So instead of going, it's actually going. Now, it's played once and the delay is the second note. So if you don't have a delay setting, or if you're using an acoustic guitar and there's no delay, you can pick that note twice. You can go, or you can pick it once with the delay setting, or you can just pick it once and it still sounds good. But that's what's happening in there. The actual song has 2 guitar parts, kind of interwoven with each other. But in order to play that all together and make it sound nice on one guitar, we're going to kind of, blend the two. So one of the guitars is playing chords and going, and just kind of spelling out a few notes of the chords. And the other guitar is the part that's going. So what I'm doing here is blending the two. So keep that in mind. It sounds really nice on one guitar. Hopefully you'll agree, and we'll get started on it now. The original key is E major. So if you want to play this in E major, it's entirely possible, but you won't be able to play the chords with these arpeggios. So I'll probably just keep it to this one key, which is putting a capo on our 4th fret. And now instead of the E major, we can play a C major. It's actually a C major 7, which means that we lift our first finger off the B string. So that's our C major 7, that's our first chord. The next chord is a G, and throughout this song, if you play only a G, a straight up G, it's going to sound fine, but it's a really nice sounding G add 9 chord that they use, which is kind of like this. So I'll put the diagram up on the screen, but what we're doing is we're playing the first 2 notes of a G chord as you normally would, the open D string, and then we're playing the 2nd fret on the G string again. And we're really ignoring this top E string, and you can even ignore the B string as well. But what we're left with is these bottom 4 notes. So if you move your fingers around a little bit, so your first finger is on the A string, your 2nd finger is on the G string, both on the 2nd fret, and your 3rd finger comes over and plays that G root note on the 3rd fret of the E string, that gives you a really nice G add 9 sound. And it helps playing this arpeggio as well. The other way you can play this chord, and we'll use it this way when we do play the arpeggio, is to just lift your first finger off and use these 2 fingers like this. What we're doing is first finger on the G string 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the root note, the G note on the 3rd fret of the E string, and play that. So you've got this open A string now, and that's not changing the sound of this chord because that note on the G string 2nd fret that we're playing is an A. And I name these notes in full awareness that there's a capo on there and they're not actually an A or a G here. But for all intents and purposes and for visual purposes, that's what we're looking at. So there's your G add 9. You can play it that way, you can play it that way, or like I said, in the rest of the song, when you're just strumming, you can play a normal G chord. Okay, there are our 2 main chords. It goes back and forth between those for pretty much all of the song, except in the chorus where we're adding a D chord. So very, very easy, okay? Download your One Chart. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how to walk through these arpeggios. I'm going to do it finger style, but using the fingernail I have on my first finger as a pick, because to do these double picking notes, you're going to need either a pick or a fingernail on your pick. You can't, it's very difficult to finger pick these notes, so I'm going to show you how to do it pick style. Start with your C major 7. And the little intro bit is on your chart as well. It's in the first pickup bar, or the anacrusis, which just slides up to the 2nd fret on the G string, open B string, back to that 2nd fret G string, open G string, and then we move into our chords for real. Now this begins on the C major 7, and what you can do is you can play the first 2 strings of this C major 7, and that note on the D string on the 2nd fret is where we begin our arpeggio. That note there. So it starts there, then you move up through open string G string, 2nd fret G string, open B, 3rd fret B, come back down, open B, 2nd fret G, open G, and then back to that riff. Now what's going to sound really nice here is if you can leave this root note under your 3rd finger, if you can leave that ringing on as much as possible, it's going to sound nice and full and lush. Like I said, you do single notes, or you can do the double notes that you hear with the delay setting in the original song. Okay, once you move through that C major 7 bar, you go to the G add 9. Now you can do this, and then we work up through our arpeggio using our pinky, or you can use that 2-finger version of this chord, which kind of makes moving up through this arpeggio a little bit easier. Either way, the arpeggio starts on the 2nd fret G string, and you strum the beginning of that chord, and that 2nd fret G string note is the beginning of your arpeggio. On the way back down, it goes from the 3rd fret E string, open E string, 3rd fret B, but then jump straight across to the 2nd fret G, so it sounds like this. And you may hear when it gets to that 2nd fret G string note, the actual guitar does a really slow, lovely bend up to a note and finishes with a couple of extra notes, but that's almost impossible to do on an acoustic guitar, let alone when you've got a capo right next to the note that you're fretting. So we're not going to worry about that little bend. But if you catch that last note, it happens on an up strum. So if you're doing the single notes, you've got to catch that note on an up strum to get it on the right beat. If you're doing the double notes, you'll catch it on a downstroke because you're picking twice as fast, but you've still got to catch it on that beat. Okay? Listen carefully to the song and you'll hear what I'm talking about there, but it's on your chart as well, so pay close attention to that little note there where it holds for an extra 16th note. So we've done our riff, and here it comes again from the start. One other thing you can do, you can play both your C major 7 and your G add 9, both those chords. You can actually just do it with your first 2 fingers, which kind of makes things a lot simpler. And I probably should have pointed that out at the start, but there you go. You can play these 2 chords with the first 2 fingers, and it makes moving up through that arpeggio a little bit easier. So here we go through that arpeggio, through the whole intro, and I'll just play the single notes so it'll actually make a little bit more sense. It'll sound a little bit more open and slower than the original song, but I still think it sounds good, and I still think this is a good way to play it. Or you can double up those notes, your choice. So here we go. Then the vocals come in. I'm moving through the night. Now, the strumming here is also not going to be exactly the same as the original song because, again, 2 parts, you know, one of the guitars is spelling out just notes out of the chord. We're playing it on our own. We need to strum a little bit and keep this rhythm going. But so we sort of blend a little bit of what the bass guitar is doing, rhythmically speaking, and same two chords, C minor 7 and G add 9, C major 7, sorry, and G add 9, and we're playing. So what that is really, if we break it down, is down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, up. That's the main part of it, right? And the little bit that comes at the end, you can kind of put in whatever you want. So if you can do that, down, down, then a light strum down and come straight back up. When you do that first up strum, cut it short. So it's down, 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 up. And you can cut it short with your left hand muting. If you cut it short with your right hand, you can also get that little kind of rhythmic thump in there. Straight after that little thump, come in with an up strum, like that. Make it all kind of one movement, so you're muting and thumping, and then come back up. Don't try and sort of reset your hand and do an up strum. Just go thump, and then drag your fingers up. So it's down, 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 up, up. And then that last little bit, you're filling it in for the rest of the bar. So you can strum as much or as little as you want, as long as you're staying in time. Same on the G add 9. After you've done 4 bars of that verse, you'll see on your one chart, 4 bars in, halfway through that line, I've put arpeggios there, because then we still keep strumming through the verse, but the arpeggios come back in again. So you can start doing this. So that's the bit that goes, take my ego for a drive, leave it out at the 110 sign, in the kitchen after 5, in the hallway before 9, if it wasn't for... And then we're into the chorus, okay? Same chords in the chorus, but we're adding this D in here on, I think, the second bar. If it wasn't for the time in the taxi. Up to the D, second bar, same rhythm, then the G. Remember, you can do the G normally or do the add 9. It sounds nicer with the add 9. Back to the C major 7. Again, C major 7. D, I'm above the ground in my booster C, go back to G, and it feels like that. Finish on the C major 7. Then we're back into the intro. Twice. Drink a jug of my eraser. And then we're back into another verse. C major 7 to G, add 9. But this is a half verse, so now we move straight into the chorus after 4 bars. And if it wasn't for the time in the taxi, and you called it out and said it was anxiety, and you held me from the back of the front seat, and you tell me all the times that you lied to me, when I felt like a kid, like I could touch my seat, and stay out above the ground in my booster seat. Whoa, whoa. And it feels like that again. bridge. So now the bridge just goes between C minor 7 and G add 9. I'm waiting for it patiently, my unmarked ring, my salty sea in my... Now this is the same section, repeating it 3 times, that 4-bar pattern. You can build it up. On the 3rd time through, which is now, we do the chorus. If it wasn't for the time in the taxi, when you called me up and said it was anxiety, when you held me from the back of the front seat, and you told me all the times that you lied to me, when I felt like a kid, like I could touch my feet and stay hard above the ground in my booster seat. Oh, oh. And it feels like that again. One little thing that I'd also like to point out as you're going through that chorus, if you're singing it, it kind of helps as well. And it felt like a kid, like I could touch my feet as they hovered above the ground. When you move to that D, it's on a push, which means it comes, I think, on the 4 and of the bar before where it says D. So you're going 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. So it might be a 4 and E, like the last 16th note. That's a straight change. This is a push change. That one there just comes a little bit ahead of the beat, but you can tell where it lands because of what he sings as they hovered above the ground. Like a kid, like I could touch my feet as they hovered above the ground in my booster seat. Whoa, whoa. It's just a little thing, but it really makes that line and that chorus kind of push through and swing through with a really nice groove. After you go through that last chorus, it's back into that sort of outro, which is the intro at the end of the song. So you're... And if you want to, you can do the arpeggios. And finish on that G add 9 at the end. So there you have it. I hope you found that useful. It's a great song by Spacey Jane. It was, I think, number 2 on the JJJ Hottest 100 for those outside of Australia. That's a radio station that does a countdown at the beginning of each year for the last year's songs. Anyway, it deserves to be up there at number 2, if not number 1. It's a great song, and if you want to play the number 1 song, I'll put the link to that tutorial down below as well. So thanks for watching, and I would love to hear any comments from anybody about this song. If you have success with it, if you're having trouble with it, if you love it, if you hate it, let me know. I love to hear all comments. Thanks again for the support, and we'll see you again soon.